Hey everyone, and welcome back to another industry report. Today it's actually a pretty big one because Microsoft are doing really well on Steam. They are basically crushing it, having multiple top spots. But then we do have a Halo Infinite leak. Yes, a leak actually happened via an Irish retailer, so one that came from us. Then 343 Industries have actually responded to a lot of the Halo Infinite feedback, and then there are problems under the surface at 343, as Jason Schreier has teased something. He basically has, you could say, he's got dirt in the company. He is now gathering stuff, but yeah, he's actively threatening, and we have a decent idea, at least, of what is going on. So, all of that in today's video, of course. We're driving the subs. We're trying to get up to 250k. Most of the people who watch this channel are not subscribed. So do us a favor, hit that sub button, hit that like button, and of course, the watch time watching this video is the main thing that helps us with that YouTube algorithm, and it is seriously appreciated. And with that said, let's just get right into the news. So, Microsoft are doing great on Steam. Yes, there are some maybe more negative topics in today's video, but we're going to start it off with a positive one. So, with the release of Obsidian's game Grounded into early access, Microsoft has actually taken a lead spot on Steam. And we're in this crazy position now where Grounded, Microsoft Flight Sim, and Sea of Thieves actually occupy top-selling spots 1, 2, and 4, at least here on Thursday afternoon. And that's kind of insane. Really is proving that Microsoft is actually getting their act together as a publisher, which is a bit wild because historically they had issues with that, and doubly so on PC, because of course PC was the platform that, rather ironically, Microsoft, of all people, kind of didn't respect. We all remember it, right? Games for Windows Live. I mean, did you ever try to play GTA 4 with Games for Windows Live? It was a nightmare. And yeah, I mean, even right now, their own store is a bit of a laughingstock. The Microsoft store is not great. I mean, they also didn't even publish that much at all on PC before recently. But now, look at what's happened. Their games are on Steam. They're doing extremely well. And that is even with Game Pass offering access to all of these games at far more of a low cost. I mean, there was that super cheap introductory offer. Then it's what, $9.99 a month? But no, their games are still doing incredible on Steam. So yes, good games on a great platform. Basically, what's not to like? This is great for consumers. People will clearly happily purchase games on Steam rather than get them cheaper on another platform on a rental basis, which I think is quite interesting. So this is a great turnaround for Microsoft, but it should also be noted that a game that almost certainly will be topping those Steam charts soon, of course, Horizon Zero Dawn. So actually, for us PC gamers, it's a pretty nice period. We're getting some top console things actually coming over, which certainly is nice. And I think with the lineup that Microsoft has got going on, they're going to continue to do well there. But we've got to talk about one game in that lineup, and that is Halo Infinite, because, well, leaks. We have leaks. So Smith's Toys, an Irish toy chain, has accidentally leaked some info on the game. Now, this was later backed up by Clobril, who is an insider with a pretty good Halo track record. Now, the multiplayer of Halo Infinite is going to be free to play, which is quite interesting. Then Arena will target, this is so good, 120 FPS on the Series X. Man, that's great. And it's also going to come with customization options and a battle pass system. Now, to break that down, free-to-play multiplayer for Halo is pretty massive. I mean, Halo multiplayer, it's almost always an incredible experience, so being able to offer that for free on PC, Xbox, Series X, the whole 9 yards, that's going to be a major draw for the player count. And, I mean, free-to-play multiplayer for big franchises, that's maybe becoming a bit of a new normal after Call of Duty. Like, I guess so brazenly paved the way for that with Warzone doing so well. So, interesting in terms of consumer expectations. Now, the rumors then going around that Xbox Live Gold will be going away, they kind of tie in with this, and that's more or less been confirmed by Jeff Grubb. And, you know, he's absolutely somebody who would be on point with the inside information. So that's quite interesting. I mean, the way that everybody could play multiplayer for 100% free would be interesting. It would bring parity with Steam, because, of course, right now, Xbox Live Gold is needed even to play free-to-play games, which actually isn't the case for some other platforms. Now, Microsoft have folded Gold into Game Pass Ultimate. They've removed the 12-month sub for Xbox Live Gold as well. So it's possible they'll just phase the entire Gold thing out with the new console console launch. And I think once people are moved over to Game Pass Ultimate, they'll just have everyone firmly captured and they'll be doing great on their sub revenue. I mean, this actually could be throwing away a massive amount of revenue in some ways, but I think it's a consumer-friendly way to increase engagement, and Microsoft probably know that time spent on their brand is one of the most important metrics for them. Now, moving on, we've got the 120 FPS news, which is insane. I mean, guys, just think about it. A blockbuster multiplayer game from a massive company is coming out using 120 FPS as a selling point. You've got Microsoft talking about input latency being a real game changer in this gen as well. Like, are we in Crazy Town? This is the sort of thing that, like, niche indie arena shooters used to talk about, and now it's coming from Microsoft, so that's kind of insane. Now, we also, we'll just also need to release a bit of some sort of primer to get people to understand how televisions work, because well, getting a TV that supports 120 FPS or 120 Hz and then setting that all up is quite tricky. It's when like HDMI 2.1 auto low latency mode should help as well. That will actually force, basically it will allow devices to force compatible TVs into the lowest latency settings, which should be good. And hopefully stuff like this will just blow the socks off the 30 FPS nightmare with bad input latency as well, that like most last-gen console gamers are probably used to. And yes, consoles might finally be starting to recover from the low frame rates and high latency of the dreaded PS3 360 era. And yes, I say dreaded because while that era brought with it so many incredible games, it also brought with it so many low standards in terms of frame rates and in terms of input latency. Those things were norms for so long while us PC gamers gritted our teeth, we facepalmed, we looked at those console experiences and thought, what the hell? Those people are playing with 25 FPS and terrible input lag while we were here in a great situation. So it's actually great to see that hopefully by baseline, our console brethren will be having a really good experience. Now, as we move on, then, yes, you've got the more customization, which I think is fair enough in a battle pass. I mean, I'm not a big fan of extrinsic rewards games. It makes me sad that they're kind of needed to get people to be engaged, but if Master Chief Collection's battle pass is anything to go by, it shouldn't be too bad. You can basically unlock items within a tier in any order instead of linearly, and you can get points to unlock items via campaign and multiplayer, which is pretty good. And you can also get stuff from the last pass, and it basically seems like this is just how Xbox game studios do them, because of course Gears did it as well. So that's the leak. Next though, we've got to talk about the backlash and 343's response to it. Tell you what, they actually did a pretty good job. So they identified two areas of feedback. One is art style, one is visual fidelity. On art style, basically, they want to shift back to the legacy aesthetics of the original trilogy, and to them, they just want a more vibrant palette, cleaner models, less noise, without a loss of detail. Now, it's clear they haven't exactly perfected that, and adapting old styles to modern expectations does take a lot of work. But a lot of the issue right now is down to how the game is currently lit, and that really leads us to the other point, on the visual fidelity. They say that the feedback is mostly things looking flat, simple, plastic light, or like the lighting looking dull, and object popping. And they actually specifically point out that they've heard the digital Foundry assessments, which we of course covered as well. That was a great video, and I love how that was a really good sort of objective feeling video. That was like a nice rallying point in a sort of a sane place that everybody could just rally behind, and I think Digital Foundry did a great job in grounding the discourse. So that's great. And, they actually said 343 that they are in agreement in many ways and that they still have lots of work to do. Now, they did say that some of the feedback was expected because the build is a few weeks old, but that some aspects have brought new opportunities and considerations to light. So basically, it's good to hear. It is meticulously handled PR, obviously, and then also, obviously, the release date's only a few months away, right? Like, there's not that much they can do, but I'm sure they will be able to make a large number of targeted improvements. And I will say it's actually refreshing to see the feedback be responded to in this much detail. So, you know what, 343, your community managers are at least doing a pretty damn good job. But what about the rest of 343? Are they doing a good job? Well, this is where Jason Schreier comes in because, he's teasing with us on Twitter. Naughty, naughty Jason. Yes, he's got something. So yes, there's a shadow looming over 343 Industries. So basically, many of us think that Halo Infinite shouldn't have technical and creative art direction issues at this stage, considering how long a development it has been. And maybe not all is well. Many people have suspected that. So what's happened is, Review Tech USA made a recent video on a range of issues pointed out by by Glassdoor reviews, and those are things that have largely been confirmed by his Microsoft insider. Now, they supposedly have severe tech issues, including a massive code base of spaghetti code, which, if you know what spaghetti code is, yes. Oh dear, I feel bad for those engineers, and basically infrastructure is so bad that they can go weeks at a time without being able to push code or content to game builds. Which again seems insane. There is apparently incompetent management who take Microsoft's side more than 343's. There's an over-reliance and contractors with a high turnover rate, which makes problems with technical continuity even worse. And there's also egregious communications problems. Email is the only official channel, but that's flooded by automated mail, so they've got to cold call workers to find out on an individual basis how to best reach somebody, which, by the way, is insane. It's Microsoft. What about Microsoft Teams? Their in-house Slack competitor. What's going on there? And then obviously there's lots of crunch, as we could all expect from something like this, and that's just an icing on the cake, not enough bathrooms. Basically, it's allegedly not a very well run shop, and these are very common complaints against a lot of AAA studios, and it kind of harkens back to the older days of Microsoft, where studios working under them were basically just crippled. So that was a bit sad. Now, this would certainly explain Infinite seeming or feeling like it's been in development hell, but it's hard to know if any of this is genuinely true right now, because we mightn't have to wait long. I've been teasing Jason, and Jason's teased us. So Jason Schreier took to Twitter and confirmed that he has been curious for 343 for a while now, but he doesn't like to talk about in-progress stories. And of course, he then linked to his Proton mail address for anybody who is, has a story there. So we may not have long to wait before some sort of big Jason Schreier investigative piece actually comes out, but certainly from those Glassdoor reviews and Review Tech USA's insider, if those things are to be believed, then I think we might know what sort of direction Jason's reporting may end up actually being in. But certainly, it's a bit sad. Obviously, if Jason has to do a big report on something, it usually means something isn't that good. And that sucks, because I want good video games. I love Halo. I just want Halo Infinite to be absolutely fantastic, but it seems like a few things might be ropey. And if things are to be ropey, then at least it's good if a journalist can sort of get in there and actually find out some quality information so that we, the consumers, actually understand what's going on. So, good luck, Jason, and an interesting situation indeed. And there you go, that is the roundup of Microsoft-related news. Of course, we're driving up those subs. A whole bunch of you, hundreds of you have joined us thus far over the last few days, so hit that sub button, it truly does help. I mean, it's crazy. Most of the people who watch this channel aren't subscribed. That's just because it's YouTube. It's driven by the homepage, it's driven by the recommended feed, not really the subs, unfortunately, but that's just how it is these days. So, yeah, super appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you next time.